Probably, yeah.
Now, would you like to hear some James Bond music?
Let's hear some James Bond music, please.
We're going to talk to a man by the name of Tom Sears now, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is a guy who is a man after your own heart because he loves James Bond, so much so that he does a podcast about James Bond.
Lovely.
On something called James Bond Radio.
Yeah,
let's
great.
talk to Tom now. Tom, a very good morning to you.
Hello, fellas. How's it going?
Yeah,
very well indeed, thank you.
Very well indeed. Now, we had a little trouble getting hold of you, Tom. I don't know if you've had your phone number encrypted or something, as per the 007 sort of scenario. But what made you into the guy that does James Bond Radio? And do you just do James Bond Radio? Do you just talk about James Bond?
Absolutely, yeah. No, Bond has always been one of those things. It's always been in my family from like the day zero, as soon as I was born. So it's been something I've spent my life talking about ever since I was a kid. And then I met a good friend of mine, Chris, at Ian Fleming's 100th birthday celebrations at the London Palladium a few years back.
Wow.
And we were seated together just by pure luck and got chatting. And he's now the co-host on James Bond Radio, and we do the show together every Friday.
Right, and where are you based, Tom?
I'm based down on the Isle of Wight, and he lives in Wales, Cardiff.
Okay, and so the James Bond Radio is not a permanent 24-hour-a-day radio station. It's a programme you do once a week.
It's a podcast.
It's a podcast, yeah. Excellent, that's great.
Yeah.
Tom, tell me this. Have you ever been to GoldenEye?
No, it's on my list, though. I've been to quite a few locations. I've been to Scaramanga's Island in Thailand. I've been to the Bahamas and done all the Casino Royale locations.
Brilliant,
but that's definitely on my list.
And GoldenEye, just for the benefit of our millions of listeners, is, of course, the home that Ian Fleming lived in, where he wrote a lot of the books, isn't it?
Absolutely,
yeah.
It.
And where is it again? In the Caribbean?
Jamaica,
that's right. Yeah, excellent. Okay. So, Tom, would it be fair to say that without bigging you up and without embarrassing you, you are one of the world's leading experts on James Bond?
Well, I would be modest about somebody saying that, but there was a little article in the Times last week where Chris and I were quoted, and they actually referred to us as experts. So while I would never say that myself, the Times said so. So I'm happy to go.
I think the Times of London calls you an expert.
Oh, I think so.
You can certainly use that and abuse it to your heart's content. Now, I don't know whether you've had a chance to see SPECTRE yet, but it was previewed for the press the other night. Mr. Parry, my broadcasting colleague here, is going to some shindig in Surrey. Sort of jumped up premiere for suburbanites.
Yes.
Have you seen it yet, Tom?
I haven't. I tell you what, it's incredible. Basically, half of our listeners are going in completely blind. They've not watched any trailers. They've not done any reading on it. They want to go in not knowing anything. Half of them are watching absolutely everything. I must say, Chris and I we know a little bit, but we want to go in as blind as we possibly can. But we were going to go. We basically set up a viewing in Leicester Square with a bunch of our listeners. We're going to watch it at 11:30 on Monday night.
Right.
Which is exciting. But I tell you what, one of our listeners came through big time, and he's only gone and got us 2 tickets to the Royal Premiere at the Albert Hall. So we're going to do double viewings that night. Right.
Now, next Monday, you're doing it at 11:30 showing, is it? What time do you come out?
So 11:30. I'm not 100% sure that the film goes on for over 2 hours. So
it's two and a half hours. It's the longest Bond film ever, isn't it?
So what I'm thinking is, Tom, you'll probably be out about 2 o'clock or maybe after 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you mind giving us a call and giving us your first sort of response and review on that film?
Of course, I'd love to, yeah.
Because we'll be here at that time, won't we, Mike, on Tuesday morning?
Yeah. As long as nothing bad happens to you over the weekend.
Well, nothing bad's going to happen to me. You know. No, he says that with glee, you see, Tom, because he hopes that, something awful will happen to me to embarrass me so that he can be the star of the show again. Now, Tom, you say that you were born into a James Bond family. What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, basically, my older brother was always a hardcore fan. So, like, when I was a wee kid, he had all the videos in those days when it was VHS, and it was just always, a thing. The family would sit down and watch a Bond film together and all that. So it was just something that was always there,
Did you have a James Bond gun? The old PPK Walther or whatever.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, all the toys, the little DB5 with the ejector seat and all that.
I had one of those. I had one of those.
I was nearly very badly injured.
When it shot out the top?
Well, no. What happened was I was playing. It was when I was a kid, and I just got it out of the box.
Yes.
I was in a sort of haberdashery shop or something with my mother.
Yes.
And what I didn't know was behind me was a set of stairs that went down into the basement.
My God, you fell down.
And I fell down the stairs into the basement, missing a circular saw by inches.
Good God.
I could have been decapitated.
What was a circular saw door doing in a haberdashery?
Well, it was like a sort of, I don't know, the guy who was cutting things up down there. I just literally missed it. But I lost the little man out of the...
You lost the man.
Look, I know you don't care about this story. It's an important story to me.
We've got an expert on the line, and we don't care
It's an important story about my childhood.
About you nearly being killed in a haberdashery.
The guy came out of the ejector seat and I never found him again.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's your problem. Tom, one more question without embarrassing you.
Sure.
Who is your favourite Bond girl?
Oh, that's something we recently discussed on the podcast, actually. We dedicated 3 episodes to discussing the Bond girls, and I couldn't possibly narrow it down. So I'm going to give you 4, if that's all right.
Okay, please. Yeah.
So number 1 would be Honey Rider from Dr. No, coming out to sea in the bikini. Can't beat that. It's brilliant.
That's Ursula Andress, of course, yeah.
You got it, Ursula. Yeah. Solitaire from Live and Let Die, obviously Jane Seymour.
Yes.
She was the one with all the tarot cards, if you remember.
Yes.
And then, getting a little bit more recent, I'm going to go with Sophie Marceau from The World Is Not Enough. She played Electra King.
Yes.
Beautiful French actress. She was also in Braveheart, if you remember.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
And my final choice is going to go with... do you know what? I've had a mental blank. Can you believe it?
Well, I was going to say, I'm amazed you've got to the 3rd and the 4th without mentioning Halle Berry.
Well,
how can you not mention Halle Berry?
No. What about the girl in Casino Royale, the first new James Bond film? She was beautiful.
Green. She was a banger, absolutely. I was going to go with the one from Quantum of Solace, actually.
Quantum of Solace, okay, yeah.
She's a beauty as well.
Jenna, somebody?
I don't know if you read that Times article, but the one quote when they quoted James Bond Radio was basically saying how much we didn't like Halle Berry.
Oh yeah,
why?
What did you say? See, I spotted that.
What's wrong with Halle Berry?
Her hair was too short.
Her hair was too short.
Yeah.
Why were you looking at her hair?
Well, because she's got hair. Tom, let me ask you, please, about one thing I never understood in Live and Let Die. Why did the villain, the drug king villain, let James Bond get away with it when Solitaire started misreading the cards? Because he told the guy with the false hand to start...
Do you know anybody's name?
Hang on, to start snipping off Mr. Bond's fingers one by one if Solitaire read the cards wrong. And she did read them wrong, so why did he let him go?
You know what? That's a funny one, because in the book, he actually does snip his hand. He does actually mess him up, but in the film, obviously, they didn't do that. That's one of those things, especially when it comes to Roger Moore. Yes. When it was Roger Moore's movies, stuff happens sometimes. You just got to go with, and you just go, you know what? That was Roger. So that's one of those. That's my answer. Well,
that was one of my favourite ever James Bond scenes when he tiptoed across the alligators to get out of the alligator farm. It was brilliant, wasn't it? And I thought Roger Moore played it brilliantly. Some would say, including my colleague here, Mike on my left in the studio, that he actually took James Bond down to almost a comical level and lost a bit of respect for the part.
I think so.
Well, that is a popular kind of thought, but I tell you what, though, we discussed this on the podcast recently, and what it is you have a different Bond actor depending on what you want from the film. So, for example, if you want a dark thriller, you'll watch a bit of Timothy Dalton, you'll watch a bit of Daniel Craig.
Absolutely.
If you want to have, if you want to just look at the coolest man on the planet, you'll watch a Sean Connery.
Yes.
If you want to have a bloody good laugh and a good time and some fun and have a smile on your face by the end of the movie, you're going to put a Roger on it.
Well, that's absolutely true, that, it's a very good way of looking at it. And, of course, my favourite opening to any Bond film...
I think Pierce Brosnan was the best one.
Well,
you haven't mentioned him yet.
I thought he was pretty good. But
I'm sure you're an expert, Tom.
He was a bit...
You don't like Halle Berry, you haven't mentioned Pierce Brosnan.
But I tell you what, I bloody love my Pierce Brosnan. GoldenEye was my pinnacle movie.
Okay, really. The favourite opening, Tom, was, of course...
Is there many more questions you'd like to ask?
Well, the spy who loved me. Obviously, coming off the cliff, the skis go, and then the billowing parachute and all that. I wonder if you know the name of the stuntman who was
stuntman.
The stuntman who was at the end of on the end of the parachute.
Are you trying to test my skills? Because this is not going to end well for you. I'll tell you that right now.
No.
It'd be great if you know the answer.
Rick Sylvester.
Oh, yeah.
See?
Is that right?
See, look, you've been caught out now, haven't you, Porky?
No. That's absolutely
He's already
brilliant.
doing better than you in the quiz and hasn't even started yet.
Yeah, no, it's excellent. Yeah, well, that's absolutely
Listen, Tom,
fascinating.
we'll talk to you Tuesday morning, Tom.
All right, sounds good, mate.
Excellent.
Please, give us a call.
Stuff.
That'd be great. Thank you very much indeed.
Very soon. Tom Sears there from James Bond Radio. You see, you had to try and prove him to be an idiot, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
And you
at
got
all.
stitched up.
No, I was.
Yes, you did.
No, I was.
You asked him for a very obscure question.
I was in awe of the man. I knew he knew. I knew he'd know the answer.
No, you thought you'd show him up.
I knew he'd know the answer.
Stitched you. Now listen to this one from TML. This is coming from James. He says,